The clamor for compressed natural gas CNG vehicles is intensifying as many Nigerians struggle to cope with high costs of maintaining petrol and diesel cars, while prices of goods continue to skyrocket due to increasing costs of petrol products, culminating to hike in transportation too. Already the federal and state governments, in collaboration with the organized private sector, have started providing some CNG-powered vehicles, established CNG conversion centers and filling stations across the country to ease transportation. Authorities say the country now has not less than 122 certified CNG conversion centers across the country, a significant move from last year when there were just 7, as government targets a minimum of 1 million CNG-powered vehicles by 2027. The policymakers have been speaking, but how equipped are those involved in the practical work? Stay with us on the spot. I am Joseph Otsen. Welcome to the program. Now, my guest is a seasoned energy expert with over 10 years of diverse experience in local and international corporate environments. He specializes in energy consultancy, finance management, compliance, risk assessment, and strategic planning. He holds a master's degree in finance, another master's degree in international affairs and diplomacy, and a bachelor's degree in actuarial science. He has a track record in risk management, having developed comprehensive control policies to mitigate financial risks and ensure compliance with regulatory standards. My guest is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Loan and Risk Management and Chartered Institute of International Organization of Management Professionals, among other professional bodies. On the spot is the founder, Ultimate Spectrum, Faruk Abdullahi. Nice to have you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, we're discussing CNG. The federal government states have been cooperating with the organized private sector to ensure that as quick as possible, the clamor for the CNG vehicles are out. But one thing, if you speak to people, a lot of people, Nigerians sometimes are very skeptical about some certain things. What will it take them? What will it cost them to either convert their vehicles? And the most important thing is here is the cost. When you are moving from petrol and diesel vehicles to CNG vehicles, what is the cost? How affordable is that for the ordinary Nigerian?
Thank you for this wonderful question. You know, as a financial expert, before I delve into anything, I have to mirror out the cost, you know, and make proper and informed decision on whether to opt in for that or not. So in terms of CNG, if we look at the comparative cost advantage compared to the PMS that is popular today in Nigeria, you'd realize that you would save around 70%, you know, on fueling your vehicles. You know, so the cost of running on CNG is very much cheap. You know, if you look at the high rise in petrol prices today, it is having ripple effect in our economy. If you look at inflation, food inflation itself, you know, in less than a year we have recorded over, or within 1 year we have recorded over 200%, you know, increase in food items, staple food items. And this is it's partly influenced or induced by the high cost of transportation, moving food items from the farm to the retail outlets and finally onto the final consumers. So in between, you realize that the cost of transporting these items is adding up to the cost. Today, petrol is sold at 690 naira per liter in fuel stations, while that of CNG is around 230 per kg. You need less than 4,000 to fill up a CNG tank, and you can move up to 150 kilometers with that. So the comparative cost advantage of opting in for the CNG, as an option, it's a great one, and I think it's part of the reason why the government made an informed decision, an assessment on the right option to ameliorate the impact or the effect of the fuel subsidy removal.
Let's have an idea of the conversion, because or somebody with a normal saloon car, what will it take him?
It is averaged around 1.2 million naira today, but if you also compare it with the cost you incur on a monthly basis in fueling your car. One of my neighbor was telling me he spent 200,000 naira to fuel his car in a month. I told him with CNG, you spend less than that. My colleague, who we are both together into this CNG business, he spends less than 10,000, 7,000 naira to fuel his car, and this car is used for his entire household logistics in a week. That's what he spends. So in a month, cumulatively, you could see the amount that he is incurring, which is way less than what is being incurred if you are utilizing the PMS as an option. So if you prorate it, if you spend 1,200, 1.2 million, in converting your vehicle, or let me use the word upgrade. I don't like using conversion, upgrading, because it's typically an upgrade from
when you use upgrade, those who manufacture the car, the patronism, you feel that you're downgrading their product.
No, it's not downgrading. We are adding value to what they have built. We are not downgrading anyway. We are doing something to peculiarly complement our economic condition, as both as individual and as a nation entirely. So it's usually upgraded to a hybrid fueling system, whereby both the fuel and the PMS and the CNG can be utilized with just a push on a button. It switches from either CNG to PMS or PMS to CNG. And if you're on CNG, if it gets exhausted, it automatically switches back to PMS. So you see, that's why I usually call it upgrade. People might be of the notion that whenever they hear conversion, they would think that you are taking off the entire PMS component. So it works together concurrently. You can, just with a button, you can switch onto that. So if you incur the initial cost, within a year you would recover what you spent, on the conversion. My neighbor that is spending 200,000 naira a month, if he decides today to convert his car at the cost of 1.2 million, in how many months would he fully recover?
Is there any kind of for mostly, like, we'll speak as a civil servant?
Yes, we have a financing. We have a financing option, with the cooperation of some of these financing institutions that supports this kind of people, the masses, in giving them access to finance, to enable them make the conversions, You know, so and with this, I would also encourage, I will call on other financing institutions to model out financing options so that the initial cost, the impact of it would not be felt by the masses. So if we collectively, you know, from the private sector also, if we collectively work towards that angle, I think it will ameliorate the impact, you know, of this high rise in fuel prices, which is having serious detrimental effect on our economy and the people as a whole. So it's a good one. So there's a way around that. And you see the government, through the presidential initiative for CNG, is working assiduously and in an expeditious manner to ensure that there is CNG penetration across the country. You can look at how they have been coughing out programs, you know, that would cut across the entire country, that would have a massive outreach, which is targeted at road transporters, NRUT, NATO, and other similar road transport organizations. They have already started the program. I think within 90 days, they plan to convert over 30,000 vehicles free of charge. You know, if you are running on a commercial vehicle, you know, you can have access to that that privilege of getting your cars converted. So this will overall reduce the cost of transportations. And we can see how the government is encouraging the importation of even CNG compatible vehicles and buses and whatnot. This would support, you know, the entire economy and by implication ameliorate the effect of high cost of transportation and high cost of living. You know, so I think the direction at which the government is assisting or is playing a great role is really going to yield significant results.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. We'll take a break now.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we'll now take a look at the conversion centers and the companies and say what it takes for those companies to work effectively.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, stay with us as we take this break. We'll be back soon.
NTA News 24 has the sole mandate of bringing news to you anywhere and everywhere.
We set standards based on current broadcast realities while consolidating on a wider reach to variety of audiences.
We go beyond the screaming headlines to verify, interrogate, and accommodate all shades of opinion without prejudice to national interest.
Pleased to have you back on the spot with the founder, ultimate patron, Faruk Abdullahi. Establishing these centers is is a new technology, and it's quite expensive, given the fact that acquiring the equipment, the cylinders, and so on, and all that. Perhaps this is where the country may face a huge challenge, being a new technology, and for us not to have situation whereby people will be coming out with substandard equipment. Don't you think this, if we rush into this, the way the clamor, the push for it, we may not end up having challenges there?
Thank you. You see, the government is doing excellently well in managing or in regulating and ensuring that there is compliance in terms of safety on the the licensing and the operationalization of conversion centers. Standard organization, different government agencies have taken the right position, in terms of ensuring that they are doing the right thing, on this new technology that you're saying. Perhaps it's not new. It has been.
It's not that new, but
yes,
not very common.
Yes,
with
yes.
us.
It's just that our economy has peculiarly necessitate us to adopt it and to expeditiously promote it, which is a right move, I think, in the right direction. So, like you see, recently Standard Organization have coined out over 80 standards that must be met, for the execution of such, or the implementation of the conversions, which covers conversion centers and also the kits that are to be used for the conversion. This is to ensure that we maintain standards for that. And you can't just open a conversion center and begin to operate just like that, The Nigerian automotive design, is also licensing and ensuring that conversion centers meet up with the minimum requirement. And to set up a conversion center is not as expensive as people thought. It's just a normal mechanic workshop. Once you have all the necessary equipment, you have the required expertise, which would include an engineer, a mechanic, and a calibrator. These are some of the, basic requirements that you need to have in a conversion centers. Once you have that, you register online. It's seamless. Within hours or 24 hours at most, you'll get a response. And
okay, it's good to hear that from the private sector. That's why we deliberately brought you here, so that, because it shouldn't be government telling us all the time, because sometimes Nigerians doubt what governments always say that they're doing. And so to hear that from the private sector because of the collaboration, that's very good. The Ministry of Labour and Employment signed a memorandum of understanding with the Presidential Initiative on Compressed Natural Gas and the National Institute of Transport Technology for the training of thousands of technicians on the conversion process. The Ministry of Labour is involving in it, is to ensure that all the unions that you talked about, the road transport workers and so on, the mechanic, the organized labor, bringing those technicians, the mechanics and all that, so that they will be trained, and then so that the private companies will now have qualified technicians. It's obvious that we need thousands, based on what the government is targeting, more than a minimum of 1 million vehicles in 2007.
Certainly.
How much of this personnel issue, the manpower issue, is a challenge now?
Yes, I would say,
because it won't just take one person like you, who maybe are a particular expert who is there. He needs a lot of other technicians around for this to work.
Yes, when you say a lot, I think it is relative, because I've told you, I'm
saying a lot because of the number.
Oh, the number
government is putting out there.
What the government is looking at is the right move in the right direction, because if you have 1 million conversion centers, but you don't have the manpower to operationalize it in terms of doing the installations and the conversions, it becomes null and void. So training people for that creates employment. That's number one. Training people for that also ensures that there is penetration, in the CNG utilization as an energy option. Training people also would mean that the public have embraced the adoption of CNG as an alternative to the fueling option. So it will go a long way in solving a lot of issues, you know. So first and foremost is to train. After you train, you can have as much as possible conversion centers, because you can count the number of mechanics that are available that you can train, you know, and that will be available for this kind of exercise. And a lot of trainings have been taking place, you know, sensitization exercises, you know, both by the public and private individuals. And I think it is important that we maintain this pace of promoting this CNG of a thing through public sensitization and enlightenment, and perhaps the different programs also by government is adding up to the overall boost in the utilization of CNG as a fueling option.
Okay, let's talk about the safety. Let's talk about the safety. How safe is the CNG vehicles?
This is also an important question that people often ask. You know, I would make reference to my neighbor. When I was discussing CNG with him, he said, the first time I heard of this CNG, I put my hands on the head and shouted, why will I put gas in my car?
Yeah.
What if it explodes?
Yeah.
You know, but then I feel sensitization, you know, would play an integral role in enlightening people on how safe CNG is. I can authoritatively say that CNG is safer than the other fueling options. It is safer than PMS. It is also safer than other gas components. You know, one, if you look at the fueling design system for CNG, it is designed with key features, you know, that mitigates the possibility of explosions, you know, and other associated risk with that.
Yes.
You see, the tanks, you know, are highly are built with high strength, such that an AK-47 can't pierce, you know, a CNG storage tank. It is 3 millimeter thick, you know. That's number one. And number two, it has an automatic shut down valves, and it's also designed in such a way that it detects leakages, you know, in case there is any. Okay. That's number one. And number two, another safety aspect of it is around the crash of it, the accident, in case if there is any accident. The way it is designed, it is embedded, you know, at the trunk of the vehicles or under the roof of the vehicle, which makes it to be safely put there. So in case if there is any accident, it is not easily exposed. So that limits the possibility of explosions. And another thing, if you look at the auto ignition of CNG compared to PMS, the auto ignition of CNG is around 60 degrees Celsius, while that of PMS is less than 100 degrees. What this auto ignition means, it's the amount of heat that if these fuels are exposed, that would lead to explosions, you know. So 600 degrees, you know, where on earth can you easily expose a tank to that? A tank that is 3 millimeter thick, a tank that is embedded in a safely built place within the vehicle, you know. So the chances of explosion is very minimal. And also, CNG is lighter than air. Even if it explodes, it disperses into the thin air in no time, because it's lighter than air. There hasn't been any time that I heard of explosions that is associated to CNG, but people don't know that. And in addition, the regulations around it is ensuring that the strict compliance and regulation around the CNG conversions and utilization, you know, it's also putting it in the right safety bracket.
Oh my God. All right, with that
Yes.
safety measure, we'll stop here.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Founder, Ultimate Spectrum Energy Expert. Thank you for being on the spot.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
All right, we are safe. Thank you for being there. I'll see you on the next episode. I'm Joseph Wotan. Bye-bye.